So tell me, what's our audience going to learn today? I'm Matt, and this is The Shirtless Apprentice. On this episode of The Shirtless Apprentice, we're going to show you how to set and light a two-person sit-down interview. Now, the way we have this interview set up is a over-the-shoulder shot. It's a little bit more complicated than maybe a standard two-up sit-down interview, which would just be two floating headshots without having this over-the-shoulder behind you. Also, there's kind of a talk show style sit-down interview where there's maybe a table between you and there's a wide shot showing the two subjects facing each other. Like I said, this is known as an over-the-shoulder shot. How would you describe an over-the-shoulder shot? How do you light an over-the-shoulder shot? How do you troubleshoot the lens flare from the key lights on an over-the-shoulder shot? Let's deconstruct the shot to figure out exactly what to do to get this look. So the first thing we're going to look at is where to place the cameras. Now obviously, you want to frame out your shot so that you have the shoulder of the person who's sitting in front of your subject, and you want to still have that subject framed in your shot. But one thing you're going to have to watch out for is lens flares. Now that's going to be a big part of what we talk about with a two-person sit-down interview. So you're going to want to make sure that where you place the camera, it does not force it to have a light shooting right down its lens. And you're going to put both cameras on the same side of your subjects, and both key lights on the same side of your subjects. So here we have a camera, a key light, and a cutter. The other side of the shoot has an identical setup, both on the same side of your subjects. So that way, where you're shooting, you're going to have two lines of sight, two lines of light, and two cutters to block out the lens flares. And I'll show you right here a real quick technique for using the cutter. If you can see right now, this cutter is blocking this light from hitting the lens of that camera. And a real quick, easy way to cut the light off of it is to use the light stand and just spin the cutter into place until the camera is cut off from the light. So just that simple. Maybe give it a little bit more for safety. Make sure all of the light is still here on the subject, but nothing is on that lens flare. There's no lens flare on that camera. So once you have your key lights down, you're gonna look at your fill. Right here, just to keep things simple, we're just using a white flex fill for a bounce, and that's gonna use the key lights light to fill in the opposite side of your shot right here. And then once you have that settled, you're gonna address your backlights. Your backlight I have hung in here on a C-stand overhead. Small light, I think this is a 125 watt, and you're basically gonna come across the same problem. You don't want a lens flare on the camera that's across from you on the shot. So what I like to do is put the top door so that it's facing almost vertically while on the light, and move the light into place onto your subject like this. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna put a nice even light across the shoulders and the top of the head of the subject. At the same time, you're gonna use your hand and you're gonna check for light coming onto the lens of the opposing camera, which you can see very distinctly, just the same way as with the cutter that we showed you. Shooters often elect to use duvetine because it keeps the shoot nice and simple. As long as you don't let too much light get on the duvetine, it will totally fade away into black, leaving you an easy, seamless background. So there you have it, a two-person sit-down interview. If you have any suggestions of other ways to place your subjects for a two-person sit-down interview, feel free to log in and post them on shirtlessapprentice.com. What should we show them next week? I got it. Next week on The Shirtless Apprentice, we're going to show you how to use a jib arm. See you there.